What's going on, everybody? My name is Terminus, and today we are going to take a look at Made in Abyss Season 2, Episode 11. Boy, it kind of feels like I have a lot of penultimate episodes going on lately. First Frieren, now Made in Abyss. Holy shit. I'm trying something new without any further ado. I don't think a lot of you appreciate like the pre-discussion stuff that's going on. I think it's still great to process things and then just recap, but I don't have a lot to say about the last episode. We speed through it. Hopefully we can get it done pretty quickly. Nanachi and Midi was a beautiful, beautiful scene. I'm still wondering if we, down the line, we do find out how it really is, right? If there's another Midi out there, if there's no two souls of Midi, or if the soul of Midi was kind of transferred here, or if it was just an illusion, right? Because we do know that inside the village, it's more or less a dream, right? Iramui is fulfilling the dreams, the wishes of these people, but right? Interesting questions that are being asked here. And do we meet Midi again down the line, right? That might be Nanachi's final challenge, right? At some point that we arrive at the bottom of the abyss, and that is her trial by fire. And she's been prepared for a couple of days, a couple of weeks. Holy shit, my throat. Another question we did have was about Belaf and how he really works very interestingly, right? He was the person who couldn't bear to not resist this, right? Couldn't bear that he was unable to resist the flesh of the little babies that they were taking in order to survive. He was the one who was so he had such lofty ambitions, right? So much pride, but also so much nobility about him. He was, for the people of Ganja, he was more or less one of the sages, one of the leaders. He was a shining example for what is morality, and which is why obviously Vasukyan knew that it needed to be Belaf who did take the first step and was turned into something hopefully very beautiful in the eyes of the Ganja. Funny that I'm saying Ganja because don't worry about it. We're not going to the 420 memes, okay? That being said, it's very interesting that he actually would take in stuff with it, or ingest stuff with his eyes. Because that the eyes for him were the window to the soul, right? Beauty was in one's eyes for him. Interestingly enough, that his desire transformed him into somebody who would feast with his eyes. Which, there has to be some deeper metaphor in there, but I can't make it apart yet. We are gonna dig into that when we are going into the post Season 2 Made in Abyss analysis and all of that. Also very interesting that his that his job here was being the legs of the village, as he states in the last episodes, which makes perfect sense because from a moral and philosophical standpoint for the Ganja people, he was the foundation, right? The foundation of their culture. Vasukyan was the leader, right? The force pushing them and pulling them, right? Leading them, kind of being at the helm of the ship. He was more like the ship itself, right? The foundation, the basic pillars of the ship. While Vasukyan was at the rudder, or maybe he was the sails, if you wanna go for that metaphor. And 𝐏𝐢𝐏, obviously, interestingly enough, 𝐏𝐢𝐏 was probably the heart of the ship, right? In a way. And that is also the problem why we do have this culture developing the way it does, and 𝐏𝐢𝐏 actually, Vasukyan needing 𝐏𝐢𝐏 as well to be there. And she was placed, interestingly enough, the heart of the village, the heart of the community of society was placed in the brain of the mother, in the brain of the homeland, right? In the central entity of the homeland. And in a way, I do not know if 𝐏𝐢𝐏 did this willingly or if she just went along with things, but either way, she at the very least did do a big job in steering the culture in the village to some kind of order that was aligned with her own morality, which I do very much like. And it shows that she is, as much as she is very self-demeaning, as much as she has her trauma and carries it with her, right? As much as she is very, if you want to say, meek in a way, she does have her moments of defiance, and she does have her moments where she applies her will and wants something to be the way she thinks it should be, which we also see in the scene where she, like in episode 8, where she takes that step back and she's like, that darkness is for me alone. And with the darkness, obviously, she means, in a way, she means 𝐸𝐴. Although we could look into what more that means, right? How deep the rabbit hole goes in what she expresses with that simple, very simple sentence that she is using there about that darkness. It is just for me. Yeah. A lot of interesting thoughts going on here that we haven't even scratched the surface of, right? 𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐴 doing the things he needs to do for his survival and the survival of his people, which, again, we can't say a lot about Bondrewd and 𝐷𝐷𝐴 and what their motives and how cruel they are, supposedly, right? How much they are blinded by their vision and their faith and their drive, but also we can attribute some of this to the Abyss, right? The allure of the Abyss, how the Abyss kind of drags us in. And in a way, I feel like the Abyss, not only in the series itself, obviously it is possibly an entity, an evil entity, or a neutral, right? Because we do say, like, if we go into Lovecraftian myths, the elder gods and whatnot, they're not really evil necessarily, they're just having their own motives, right? And they do not care about mortals, in a way. At least the way they're described, the way they are experienced by the people telling the stories in the Lovecraft stories. But yeah, no matter what it is, metaphorically, the Abyss can also kind of be the depths of human desire, right? The depths of human strife and greed and longing, right? And that can kind of kill us sometimes, right? It's a force that drives us forward in many ways, and it is something that is very good for us to a degree, to a certain point, right? Because it drives us to be better, it drives us to excel, it drives us to be possibly a better version of ourselves, it drives us to go to places that we otherwise might not dare, or we might hesitate to take a step into. And at the same time, if it goes too deep and goes too far, right? We're asking the question here, how far is too far? And we're also asking other questions just such as, can you lose your way, right? Along the way, can you lose the direction you were going in? Can you lose your original purpose? Because for many, like, obviously you could say they found the Golden City, right? They founded it themselves, but it's, as I said earlier, Belov said about Vasukian, even if the Golden City doesn't exist, and I don't think it exists the way they imagined it would exist, even if it exists right deeper down below or whatever, or if we interpret the Shoro layer as the Golden City, even then, even it didn't exist the way they did imagine it to exist, but Vasukian found a way for it to exist, right? To find it. And that finding it was forcing 𝐸𝐴 into the wishes that he himself and his people needed in that very moment, right? And forcing her, this suffering all onto her, then kind of worshipping her as mother and homeland, kind of partially against her will, right? against her will, against her suffering, right? Forcing this role of deity upon her in a way. And kind of, I do see a lot of parallels to various series. Among other things, we do have a little bit of parallel to Attack on Titan with Ymir. Both Ymirs, actually, interestingly enough, both Ymirs. But I'm not saying more than that, all right? You people who've seen it, you know what I mean. But yeah, very interesting, and I do wonder what they're gonna do now that the thing is breaking apart. We do see that Belaf is actually disappearing with his desire. I do assume that possibly Vasikyan will also disappear. All of them gave up their bodies to Irumyuui, and if Irumyuui perishes, then all of them are going to perish as well. I do wonder if we find a way for some of them to survive. Ueko, at the very least, is human, so she didn't give up her body, so I do think she probably could survive. Though I don't know. I'm not sure on that, right? If she was forced in, maybe it was against her will, so... she didn't willingly give it up, and I do think stepping through that barrier would be willingly giving it up, right? So this is very, very interesting, very curious. But Irumyuui was clever enough, right, to put all those feelings into Fapta. Interestingly enough, we do have that last moment where we're like, whatever, the shell, right, that came from the outside that was made by them, that they give as a parting gift to Nanachi, who can carry that on as kind of like a reminder of kind of a trace of who they used to be, because other than that, nothing of them is left. They gave up everything for within the abyss and for Irumyuui, against her will, obviously. But yeah. We wake up to the mayhem. We do have a lot of confrontation that we don't need to properly talk about. There's a lot of cool animation going on, but I think we spoke about a decent amount of that, and if not, we're gonna probably do it in some of the at least some of the analysis I got planned. We can look at like Sakuga Boro and whatnot. I do really like the swirly moves they have oftentimes, and they sometimes also go into this position where we do literally see low detail, low res versions of our characters, and we use this like these undefined lines and the swishiness to actually show movement, and it's very, very effective. We had the same thing with Übel in Frieren and similar things, right? The swooshiness and the blurry borders serve to empathize the speed and the feel of a movement, right? How fluid it feels, how interesting it is. But yeah, we're going into flashbacks, and we do see a different Faputa, a completely different Fapta. And I do wonder how much of that is because Fapta is inherently, right, the will of Irumyuui, right? All of the things she left behind. But she didn't just leave behind resentment. She didn't just leave behind all of the things that she hated. She also left behind something that I do feel only came to light oftentimes when she was interacting with Ueko, which is her playfulness, right? Her, in a way, her childish mind to a degree, right? Her dreams and aspirations, even as misguided and as like indoctrinated from her old culture they might have been, right? We do see that in Fapta, but I do wonder if, well, at the very least, the playfulness isn't as much in Irumyuui, and I do wonder if that is what makes Fapta an individual, because I think we shouldn't just see her as a vessel for Irumyuui or a replacement or Irumyuui reborn, because that is a mistake, well, in my opinion, parents oftentimes make, right? Or people who see parents and children, that you project everything that you see about the parent onto the child, but the child is its own person as well, right? There's something unique in there, and that is something we need to acknowledge and appreciate, in my opinion, and Fapta has that, and we see that in those moments where she interacts with Reg. She has her dreams, right? She doesn't just want, right? There's something she needs to do. This is her mission, right? Because this is the thing she was left with by her mother. She wants to free her mother, but at the same time, we do we do have this element of her that is herself, right? That is something that is different, very different from what 𝐏𝐢𝐏𝐬 used to be, at least from what we've seen in 𝐏𝐢𝐏𝐬. And that is something unique and beautiful and not at all angry or bloodthirsty or whatever. It's loving, it's affectionate, it's playful, and it's in my opinion something that hopefully will be here once everything is over, while all the resentment and all these other things are gone. And I do wonder if 𝐸 is going to appeal to that side of hers in order to get her out of it, to get what he and also 𝐸𝐲 kind of wants, that the village doesn't completely perish, that there's something and some people of the village that are actually getting left over, because it's not their fault, right? Especially those who came later, who were just stumbling upon the village, who met the end of their dreams or the end of their capabilities, right? And gave up and were like, yeah, this is my home now. And yes, they were possibly led astray, let themselves astray, right? Deceived themselves into being complacent, giving up on their dreams to away, or settle for something that is less than what they actually wanted. We did see that in Mugi, who was like, well, there's not a day I don't regret not going out again and being a cave raider and whatever, and apparently she was one, right? But yeah, I do wonder. And this is a beautiful scene because it shows us that there's more to her than just what we've seen so far, right? Just the extremes that we've seen so far. The extreme that we once again see here, but it's a natural reaction, right? Because she pushes back. She's like, I feel all of the appeal coming from you, 𝐸. I want to be friendly and be like, okay, you know what? We're all gonna be good. I'm gonna go on adventures with you. I'm gonna give up. But this is not something I can let go because it's deep within me, right? I grew up with it. But yeah, I do think this is the path to 𝐸𝐹ta, to appeal to that side of hers that is in 𝐸's memories, to see that there's something in there that can, at the very least, settle for something, like freeing her mother, but finding a way maybe to not destroy and murder and brutalize everyone that's there. We left on such a cliffhanger, holy shit. But yeah, we're gonna go into it. I think this is enough discussion. 18 minutes, less than I usually do. Still more than I would like to, but I have a lot to discuss in the beginning. Holy shit, okay, let's get into the reaction though. Pip in the description down below, edited reaction right here, you know the deal. Check out my Discord, check out my Patreon if you do like the video at the end. Like and subscribe, or like and subscribe now if you know you're gonna like it anyway, so I would appreciate that. And let's jump into the reaction. Alright, Made in Abyss Season 2 Episode 11 starts in 3, a 2, a 1. Remembering memories. So different from what we see here, right? Central expressions. Not at all, 𝐸. He doesn't want her to destroy herself, right? And he searches for a way, right? Give me a way. But also foolish. Cue the intro? Alright, fair enough. Second last time that we're seeing the intro, so gonna enjoy it. Fate reaching its end is very interesting. Because for 𝐸𝐸 it didn't, right? The silhouette of my longing, further away. Right, it could be 𝐸𝐸 talking, right? But it could also be all of the other people talking, if you think about that. Belaf. One of my favorite characters, actually, Belaf, despite not being much on the screen. Like, I feel so much for this dude. Too pure a soul. Oh, it's interesting. Our sound rings out forever. Very poetic. Alright, value. What do we value? What do we gather? Oh yeah, Rico's probably feeling the force field, right? I mean, although I'm not sure, it might just be exhaustion by her. I don't know how she interacts with the whistle. Ooh. Can't be good. No, I mean, Rek is not dead. Not looking good for you, Wasikyon. And then we do have Joe, whatever he's called. Ooh, and she can actually command them? Interesting. What reason? I mean, the will of the village, I guess, right? The will of 𝐸𝐸𝐿. Ooh, yeah, there's resentment going on, I thought so. Is Wicker gonna do something? Ooh, and Gabo protects her. Cause he promised, right? He promised Rek. Alright. I mean, he can be repaired, but you know, obviously. Maybe you were foolish too. Pushka's drained. Alright. Very hard overcoming what's already deep inside, right? Ooh. What the hell was that? Oh, Belov! Oh. Holy shit. I think it's Belov, right? It looked like Belov. Ooh, wait. No, not that she looks badass. Fourth wall break. Oh, that is cool looking. He doesn't have much time. Oh, I love how he looks, right? Like, it almost looks like armored, but it could just be him breaking apart. Black eyes now. Ooh, yes. A target for your hatred. Yeah, he was the one who wanted this. Does he have a different face as well? Like Wasikyon? Memories. Yes. The one that the missing pieces, right? We've seen it in the intro. It is right, she hasn't met 𝐸𝐸𝐿, but now she knows about 𝐸𝐸𝐿. And this is the connecting piece. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 𝐷𝐢𝐿 still deserves to die though.
君がいてくれてよかった。宿命の終わりに、君の価値を君自身で決める時が来る。
Yes, you yourself. Your own dreams.
美しい目だ。
Ooh, and the eyes.
恐れず進め。君の冒険を楽しんでほしい。
Yes. Find your own longing.
外周に近づくな。もう村の幕は破られてる。外と混じったらおめえら消えちまうぞ。リコも連れてって休ませてくれ。村の仮装ならここよか持つ。レグを起こす。まあ聞くよな。わかるよ。匂いに乗って記憶が体感ごと入ってきた。
She has made the experience.
憧れもまるで自分のことみたいに体を引っ張ってくるだろう。
Interesting. How he uses smoke and scent. Used the chance, and he's perched up there.
ベラフが教えてくれた。この状況は奴に選ばされている。
Yeah.
動乱、別名願いをかん。
And it's desire, not wish, right?
は子供だけ。そしてお姫様は欲望の洋蘭3つを宿した願いの力の化身。状況はすでに整っている。最悪を想定しろ。この騒ぎでリコがやられて死に瀕したとする。例えばレグの心を取り戻すため
What are you spinning?
与えたとする。願いの力は何を叶える。
Ooh, yeah, right. Is it gonna be a monkey's paw for Rico?
もう一度冒険をと叫ぶ。奴は作る気なんじゃないのか。
Yes.
自分たちを人以上のもの。リコ村。ある種の祝福の装置を。
Maybe that is Vasukyan's hope.
いや、あいつはベラフが信じた神がかり。やるだけやるやつだ。
Bond roots. And none that you would know, right?
あいつにその道は二度と選ばせねえ。
And this is Belaf's wish, his last wish.
いや、よかったよかった。
何がよかったの。
これでファクターには君のことも伝わった。君は言っても殺されないはずだよ。それとごめん、ブイコ。
今さら何。
僕さ、自分自身をほとんど使っちゃってすっからかんなんだ。
Oh, he's gonna go down with her.
まるで親子だな。
まるでじゃない。これがなんだというのだ。なあベラフ、イルミアイはな、お前のことも。待ってはダメだ。
Belaf was
火だ。食われ冒涜された者たちが継いだ火だ。
how do you merge that, right? How do you conjoin that hate and love if you were overwhelmed by so much love, by so much affection?
お前危ないからあっち行ってるぞす。
And the outside is gonna encroach on the village.
なんだ鳥。
All the dangerous things.
森が消えたせいで入ってきちまったんだ。モーディ。まずいぜ。この絶海を支配する現生生物たちだ。
Primeval. I don't like the CGI, but it's fine. It's gonna be very interesting what Fapta's gonna do now, right? And some of them are gonna be eaten up, right? Their forms aren't made for defending themselves.
集まりすぎ。
Thousands or hundreds of years.
手のいい餌場ってわ。
Yeah.
こんなん手に負えねえ。終わりだ。終わっ ちまうよ。ああ、そうだな。この子だけでも逃がさに。
It's so nice. Yeah, I thought so. Right, we're gonna go for that angle. And she's gonna fight everyone and everything now. And she's immortal. Ooh, the animation. An instant regeneration, right? Not instant, but... Ooh. Oh, oh, no, please. What the fuck was that? Whoever animated that, fuck you, okay? He's gonna burst out. Or? No? Oh, she might be in over her head here. So we're going down. There's so much more, Go. There's so much more. But I understand. Right, I do understand it. Yeah, I mean... Ooh, and the village defends itself, right? Not at the village, the souls, right? She knows the names now. Because 𝐏𝐢𝐏 gave them their names. The villagers? No, it's 𝐏𝐢𝐏, holy shit. And we mirror that scene, right? Ooh. Haku, yes, yes. A robot with feelings. Once again, right? We had it with Reg, although Reg is a special case. Ooh, here comes the spit. And who is gonna save her? Is Reg... Ooh. Holy shit. I thought someone was gonna go between that, but... This is a lot. It's always darkest before the end, right? The villagers. They're helping her recover. They're in reverence.
が増えてゆく。ファプタが白と呼んだものさえも知らぬガブールンがあり、知らぬレグがあり、知らぬ母があった。
Alright, new sides to everything.
だらけだ。今も役目が突き動かしてくる。だが
It's like it's compelling her.
この火の色は何だ。この役目の先に何が隠れているというのだ。そこに価値があるというのか。
Could there be value beyond what I thought I was meant to do, right? The design is beautiful, by the way.
宿命の終わりに君自身の価値を君自身で決める時が来る。
What do you want to do?
恐れず進め。君の冒険を楽しんでほしい。
勝手に決めるな。価値は自ら知りに行くそす。
But you're doing what you hoped you would do. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, what? That literally looked like what Rek had on his... What? Or like a device of the Abyss. She gonna use a relic? Like one of the eggs? Okay. I'm not sure what to think of that. Well, the beating heart, right? And the egg. And the last episode's name is Gold. Well, how could it be any different than gold, right? The golden city of the scorching sun. Alright, I get it. We've come full circle, kind of. So, yeah. See you on YouTube, I guess. Right. Let's talk about it. I do have my tea. We do recap, right? We do repeat and we go right into the intro. And we do see that damn thing once again. Do wonder where all of this is gonna end. It has a very interesting structure. It looks very... I don't know. It looks very Cthulhu-ish, honestly. Like very otherworldly. The barrier's broken. And yeah, Rek's out of commission, which... I mean, I kind of low-key have seen coming. I thought he would wake up again, but not this episode. Rico being very exhausted. I do wonder what this is about. Is this just about them defending themselves, or if it is the force field slowly making its way in, right? Laying itself over her, and it's like you're slowly getting used to the thin air again, or used to the depth if you're diving, something like that. And there's that resentment, right? If it wasn't for you, Rek wouldn't have forgotten. If it wasn't for you, Rek wouldn't have even gotten up there, right? There would have been harmony between us. He wouldn't have gone and put himself in my way, right? And Rico and Wiko, I do wonder if she's gonna play a role down the line, right? I do love this shot, by the way, right? We do have the three layers. We do have Wasukyan and Wiko as a unity. We do have the ledge, right? The railing. And we do have the down below with the dust clouds. I do wonder if Wiko will, in the final episode, do something that will, I don't know, establish her will, right? Because she has a stake in this. And at this point, Fapta can actually, or is probably not gonna kill her immediately when she talks to her, so Wiko might play a role, a very important role to come. But yeah, first we have amazing shots coming, right? Amazing shots, right? the momentum going up, right? The arc. But Gabu gets in the way. He's like, I'm here to protect, and he's shocked, of course. But we, as the audience, we know, right? Reg asked him to protect, and he's thinking for himself, right? He's thinking on his own. He's like, Fapta, you're destroying. If you kill Rico, there's no going back. Reg will not forgive you, and we know that, right? As gentle as Reg is, he won't be able to. Right, because this is his Haku, and he explains it to her. He's like, "You're not gonna have your Haku if that's what you're gonna do." And there's this animosity. A lot of amazing panels, a lot of amazing shots, right? With the lighting, with the way they light up the eyes. We have like 3 or 4 different ways that the eyes look. We have the fractured look, right? That looks like kind of relic-y, kind of bloodshot as well. We do have the white look here. We do have the black look that we see later on. I love the, like, again, right? Amazing shot. We do have center focus, the hole that was done by Reg that bore through the shell of Iramu, through the shell of the village, and like what was opened here. And we do have Fapta standing here with her 4 arms, which is crazy looking, and she's not completely in focus. What's completely in focus is that portion where Fapta is, right? But behind is not in focus. We do have the dust cloud settling, and in front, right, where we do see Rico's legs, we're looking out from under Rico's legs, right next to her shoes, looking onto this scene. And this is a really, really creative, cool way. And now we have this element coming in, right? Surprise, and we see destruction. We're like, Belov? And this is when she appears, right? This is when she appears with the fishing hook as like the kind of lure weaponish kind of thing, which looks really, really cool, and the helmet down like a warrior. Nanachi is being badass right here, and it's really cool, especially with her outfit change, right? We did change all of her outfit now to match that, and it looks fucking dope. It looks fucking dope, and Belov looks dope too. Yeah, the light shining onto her, and she's like some kind of warrior having some kind of helmet on, like some beast, right? Not quite human. And it contrasts, it doesn't contrast. It merges very well with how Belov looks with his white but slightly damaged face, fractured, but at the same time very determined looking. He was there for the moment, and we have the black eyes coming in, right? We have the black eyes again. We do have a change in how it looks, and obviously she would go for him because he is one of the ones, but he smells like it, right? He partook in the feasting, and he couldn't resist. This is what he blames himself for, and this is what he wants to be punished for, so this is what he wants, technically. And this fur ball, really cool how this fur ball comes just climbing up that mountain, and 4 arms going in full throttle. And but he is serene, he's calm. He's very, very settled in how this is gonna end, because what he wants, what his purpose is in this situation is, I want to give you the memories that you are still missing, right? The missing pieces that you haven't put together yet. And we have that theme going on throughout the last 3 or 2 episodes, missing pieces being filled in more and more. We give them this shot, right? I wanted to consign it into oblivion together with myself, but right, I wanted to forget these memories. I wanted her to take everything away, which in a way is selfish, right? Because you're forgetting what you feel so bad about doing, right? At the same time, it's not his fault. It's not his fault alone. She left it untouched because she wanted you to see it. She wanted that piece of the past to be relayed to you as her daughter. And she's like, how dare you end up growing so long? You must have feasted like nothing. And I do wonder if that's the reason why he is so long, right? There's like a connotation of like the length of a beast being synonymous with, or maybe, I mean, he is kind of snake-like, right? In that sense, right? The longer the snake, the more it can digest, right? And we do have some really, really cool pieces of animation here. But he's going for it, right? He's going for it. He's like, come on, come and take me. And there we see it. 𝐸𝐴, little, small, innocent 𝐸𝐴. And her happy memories. The little pet they had, 𝐏𝐢𝐏, and even Belaf. Because now we do have the reveal. We could have guessed kind of low-key, because Belaf was always in the background of their scenes. He was always like coming to bring them like two mugs of water or something. And then like standing at the back of the door with their private, intimate, like sad conversations, and kind of looking like he's really hurting with them, right? And we do see in the intro, right, that the flowers in his hair and them kind of just being around him and being happy and enjoying themselves. And right, of course we do see the bad memories as well, but we do see how much 𝐸𝐴's friends, Belaf and 𝐏𝐢𝐏 especially, felt for her and were there for her. And this was his last mission, his last purpose, to relay that to 𝐸𝐴, who was born out of this resentment, out of this revenge, out of this sense for justice and whatnot, but did not have these memories that were so inherent to 𝐸𝐴, that were also part of her, right? And it kind of sways her in the direction that we've said in before the video, where we were talking about there's more to 𝐸𝐴 than just this mission, this instinct that she's been given by her mother. There's more to it than that. But she needed that before, right? She needed that drive, she needed that instinct, she needed all of that, because in a sense, if she had the other memories before that, this drive wouldn't have been as extreme, right? As deep, and it might have not led her to achieving what she wanted to achieve, which is getting into the village, kind of low-key freeing 𝐸𝐴. I don't know how it's gonna end up, but I can't imagine her staying here, right? I can't imagine 𝐸𝐴 not being freed from her burden, because this is what we want. Except Vasukian doesn't, well, does, but also doesn't want it. He does want to perpetuate it with Rico, possibly. And oh, what a bad plan it would be, but Nanachi knows, right? She gets the warning from Belaf, and she knows how people like that work, how Bondrewd worked. If there's a situation, right, Rico is almost dying, Rek is at the end of his wits, 𝐸𝐴 tries to get into Rek's good graces again and gives her a wish-granting egg. What would happen, right? Is that what Vasukian wants? To have another village, right? To have basically the endless cycle of what he wants. The strangers come in. They stop 𝐸𝐴 before she can destroy everything. Or they let 𝐸𝐴 tear it all down, right? Free 𝐸𝐴, and then somebody else is gonna replace her. Maybe this is what he wants. And he's like, I used almost all my strength up. I'm gonna jump down with you, and they're going all the way down, and I do wonder, is he gonna imprison her again, or is he gonna keep her there so she can't interfere with what's happening? You do have that little moment of humanity, right? The beast inside being stopped, being surprised and stopped and touched by this little thing that she remembers a flash of. in the memories of her mother, that her mother cared so much about these little things, especially one of them that they took in. And now we do see the creatures coming in because obviously they're drawn to it. That's prey for them. That's easy prey because all of these, they haven't learned to adapt. They haven't learned to defend themselves properly because they were sheltered in this dream world of themselves, right? And their forms aren't meant to be defensive. Their forms are meant to be just the reflection of their own desires, and as such, they're being overwhelmed, threatened to be killed. But for Fapta, that is, it is my right, she says, right? How dare you do that when I'm the one who wants to do that, who needs that emotional catharsis to do it, right? Because there's all this stuff in me that was transferred to me by my mother, which is very interesting if we think about how in some instances parents can kind of transfer their own trauma, their own resentment, right, or their own dreams, their own lost dreams onto their children. And then there's this expectation, this pressure, this incredible, like, almost indoctrination that comes with it, because you're growing up with it, right? You're growing up with these connotations, with these wishes, with these expectations into you that are maybe, they're so prevalent in some cases that you feel like you have to do that, right? You feel like it is your purpose to do that. And after that, once you fulfill that, once you realize that you can't fulfill it, right? Once you fail at that, you're left wondering, what do I actually want? Who am I actually deep inside, right? And this is what Fapu does add with what she's seeing now with the memories coming in, and she's like, I thought this was my value, but it seems like, especially with all the things happening, right? Gabu kind of just sacrificing himself for her, being like, I wish I could see where your own wishes and desires take you beyond what you believe is your duty, right? And you were my Haku, which is super, super interesting, right? You were the most valuable thing for me. This is why I sacrificed myself for you. And this is kind of changing her, right? Even the villagers being in their weird, probably very unhealthy worship of Fapta as the embodiment of all value. Do wonder why this is the case. I haven't figured that out yet, right? Why she's the embodiment of value beyond like the mechanics of what's happening. In which case we can see that as a metaphor, right? What aspects of Fapta are inherently valuable in the eyes of the villagers, if that is because most of them or all of them have this internal guilt by association that comes from putting all of this burden onto 𝐸𝐸, and being relieved of that burden is value for them, and as such Fapta is the embodiment of value because it brings their salvation, it brings 𝐸𝐸's salvation, it brings this close, right, to this chapter, to this village in general, but also relief from all of the associative guilt that you've accumulated up. Or if the embodiment of value in that sense could be beyond that, right? If you could see that beyond that, the thing that Fapta now is discovering, right? Could there really be value beyond all of this, right? Could there be value beyond what I thought was my duty? And maybe her finding that makes her even more of the embodiment of value. Obviously, something that can't be reached is also coveted. We talked about that in the past, but we can put more and more meaning onto that as the story progresses and we see more aspects of it. And the villagers seem to feel this for them, being like, yes, she's going to destroy us and whatnot, but at the same time, I feel for her, right? For her plight, for her anger and resentment, for all of these feelings that are inside of her, good and bad, for the sadness too. And she was being ripped apart by the beasts, but she's feasting now. She's feasting partially out of partially out of instinct, right? Out of what she still has to do in her mind. Although I do wonder if this is like a compelling force that is tied to the wish eggs and to 𝐸𝐴, and if Fapta feels like she has to do that, not just due to her psyche and how she, right, the things she values and how she grew up, but also due to some kind of compelling force that is connected to the abyss, or if it's just on a psychological level, and this is how Fapta needs to get to grips with who she really is and how far she wants to go with what she inherently believes to be her value. And we end on this shot, right? Her opening her eyes, her normal eyes, right? Her human-looking eyes with a lot of soul in them. And then we do have this green little thing. And what's flashing here is the thing that, in my opinion, it looked like this little relic that Nanachi showed us in Dawn of the Deep Soul, and also like Rex's helmet, right? So I do wonder if that like symbolizes her activating the X, right? Because they are part of her and they're relics, or if she herself has some relic abyss-related powers that are being unlocked here. But we're gonna see that next time in our grand finale, because next time will be according to my information, it's a longer episode. It's probably like episode 13 on the first season. Gonna be a very interesting watch. Not well, either way, right? But yeah, very, very cool. Very cool episode. There's not so much to say about this, right? A lot of it is conveyed through feelings. This is why the last episode was not as long, and this episode is not as long. I'm also trying to be a little bit shorter on the pre-discussions, as you have noticed. I do hope you enjoyed this discussion and the reaction itself. If you did, please leave a like. I appreciate all of the likes, all of the views that I'm getting. It's been amazing to see like the reception pouring in of people really enjoying my reactions, and I do appreciate it whenever you write something in the comments as well, some additional information or what you loved about the series or about this episode specifically. I always read them. At the moment, it's still to the point that I'm not getting too many comments, so I can read every one of them, and I can respond to most of them, right? Either indirectly by doing a pre-discussion and being like, okay, this was an interesting tidbit, or by just appreciating what's being said there. But yeah, leave the comments, like, subscribe. Check out my Patreon if this is something for you. 2 weeks early access on Made in Abyss. So at this point, the finale will be on, and probably in 1 week, or maybe in 2 weeks, there will be some analysis videos or something along the lines about Made in Abyss. Because I do definitely want to make one. I don't know if I'm gonna make more of those. They might also be just in irregular things, because this is something you don't like. This is not something this is something you need to script more, but also something you need to think out more before you do it, rather than like an episode discussion where you just go with the flow. So I do want to give that some justice, give that some thought. We can go into some characters and interesting motives and themes, and we can also go into maybe some theories about what season 3 is going to entail or whatnot. I'm also open to do at some point in time manga reactions, but I want to see if Made in Abyss season 3 is going to come out next year or something, or the year after, just to see, right? And also to experience other series in the meantime. I'm not gonna but we can look into some of that stuff every once in a while. But yeah, check out the Patreon if that is something for you. We do probably have monster reactions at this point. We do have some Made in the Bib right here. We do have Frieren is done. So we might have Bocce at this point. We might have some other stuff, Jujutsu Kaisen. Check it out, see if that's something for you. Or if you just want to support me, I do always appreciate it. I do also have a Buy Me a Coffee link, which is another site where you can support me. It's not as it's a little bit more expensive, mainly because I do have to do the invoices all myself, right? And there is also as far as I know, there should be value-added tax on that, so I have to do a bit more on that. But I do appreciate every piece, and if you don't want to go the Patreon route, this is maybe an option for you. So that would be cool. And also starting at 500 subscribers, which is gonna be soon, hopefully, we can do YouTube membership. So if you are interested in giving me a YouTube membership, feel free to do so as well at that point in time. This has been Terminus. I can't wait to see the final episode. We might have a longer talk there, or we might not. I can't say. I do hope we can have a longer talk there, because some of these things might come to their conclusion. Be very curious to see how all of our characters play into the last episode and what role they play ultimately. This has been quite a ride, I gotta say. Quite a ride, and Kevin Penkin has been making it even better. I do hope you enjoyed that. I'll be seeing you next week.